Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Xobin Talks, where we explore how HR leaders are solving today's biggest people challenges, from talent strategy and global hiring to performance enablement and future of work. I'm your host, Nikita, and today's conversation is going to be a little different because the journey of our guest into HR didn't start in a boardroom, it started in films. Our guest is Rajesh Swaminathan, a seasoned HR and global talent leader with decades of experience in recruitment, strategic talent mobilization across industries, and building human centric hiring practices that drive real organizational success. He is currently the global talent partner at Diligent Global. Rajesh, welcome to Zobin Talks. It's great to have you here. Could you please introduce yourself?
Hi, Nikita. Hi, everybody. Wonderful to be with Xobin Talks team. And thanks for inviting me for this podcast. So, what can I say? Been in the industry for the last 23 plus years. Till today, counting on the resources, how many lives I can, more make a difference, give value. So, I think roughly about 8,000 plus folks I would have, got them jobs across the globe. And I still continue to do with the same passion. And more importantly, I'm not moved out of recruitments. I still do it with the same passion, same hunger. And I'm just trying to count how many more lives I can bring a joy on their face. That's the highest satisfaction till date, which no appraisal, no designation, no anything can, come closer to that. That's the definition of me. And I use a lot of common sense.
I'm really excited for this conversation because your career story itself breaks a lot of stereotypes around how people end up landing in HR. So, I'm starting with my first question, Rajesh. So, Rajesh, I want to start with your story. Not many people know this, but you actually began your career in films. You screen tested, you were the first choice for a movie, and later the role went to a debutant Ajit Kumar, who today is one of the most recognizable face in Indian cinema. Film didn't work out. A few years later, you are building a successful career in HR. That's a massive shift from glamour to the corporate world. Could you please walk us through that journey? What happened in between and what made you choose HR?
There is always a saying, right? Power of thought. So everybody starts somewhere. So I became an accidental actor. There was no plan. So I had all the looks. There was people around my flat. I was in a very limited circle. Friends, my parents, my well-wishers, my my neighbor was also an actor, famous actor. He saw me and he said, "You have good looks. Why don't you cut yourself and try yourself on, acting?" So that's when my photographs, whatever mediocre photographs I had, it floated around. And one director saw it. He liked it. It was a romantic story, and the neighbor recommended me or referred me for this role. That's when this came, and all of a sudden, I was in front of the camera doing the screen test by the morning, and in the evening, I was announced I'm the hero. So I came with all those joy. I distributed sweets. I was on cloud 9, cloud 10, cloud 13, whatever clouds we can add. I was all across. As a 16-year-old person with a lot of exuberance and enthusiasm, I came and announced to the world, I am the hero. And then, everybody congratulated me, and then I distributed sweets like any youngster. Then I was asked to see the front of the mirror, practice, watch a lot of films, understand how they act because I'm a novice. I don't know anything. I was having no confidence. So I was slowly trying to get into that part of the world. And then one fine day, the shooting was about to happen. I think about 10 days before, I got a call from the office because they were searching for all the other characters after announcing me. Then I went to the office, and then the director calls me and said that you've been replaced. And there's a man who comes with white and white, lean, smart. I mean, he was not all that smart. Today he's very smart. I see Ajit coming across, but I didn't know he's Ajit. We didn't get formally introduced. He was holding a cover which had its advance money, and then he was walking across. So I had my own instinct that probably I'm replaced. So when I went in, I got the news. I was devastated. I was shocked that I've been replaced. I've been given a second hero. Then I became a third hero. Then I became a fourth hero. And some of the pictures where it's been floating on LinkedIn on my Rajesh Swaminathan ID is the ones where I was, the scenes which I was with Ajit. Those were the scenes. I think I spent almost 35 days with him in the shoot. So this happened. Then I came a lot of dejection. Depression was there. Everybody whom you see will come back and say that no, you were a hero. Now you became a zero. All those things I had to face. I have not finished my this thing. I was in my 10th or 11th, I think. So it was very, very young. So I don't know how to react. So I became very depressed, like any 16-year-old kid can do. There is no social media, there is no YouTube, there's no learning, with zero confidence. I ventured into the shooting. I went to the cinema world. I saw a lot of people. That's where I learned the real MBA. MBAs are not taught in classrooms, it's taught in real life. You meet different people, you get to understand their mindset. It was very hard. There was a lot of criticism, there was a lot of backbiting. I was down because I didn't have confidence. And Ajit had all the better skills. So I think hats off to him, to what he's sustained till now. So he had better skills. Again, life skills matter. So he got more exposure. I was limited to my flat, and my world was very limited. And so I was very soft by myself. So he had better exposure, better confidence. He was able to do better acting than me. So he got it, and I'm very happy for where he is today. And that's how the journey started. And I think everybody has a destiny, right? They truly belong to what they do. So he was. There's nothing called luck for people who truly deserve it. So hardworking people will always have luck. So Ajit had enough luck than me because he was more hardworking at that point of time. He had more skills. So I'm open enough to go and admit anywhere. So failure in films led me to shift my thought process. Then my people told me that we have to complete your degree. So I finished my degree with a lot of difficulties. I had arrears. I'm not very good in studies, but I'm very good with people, networking, and all that. So that is where I identified, I became an accidental HR because of those skills. So with great difficulties, I finished my studies, BCom. Then I got into corporate world with a couple of my mentors. That is when I started my journey. And one fine day, I joined as an office assistant. Then suddenly, then CV came. I started seeing that. I started liking it. I started getting into interviews. I started getting into mock sessions. I started doing line by line. One became two, two became three, three became four. Then from an accidental HR, sorry, accidental actor, I became an accidental HR. So everything happened by accident. In fact, in my younger age, when I was in my first standard or before going to first standard, I was playing hide and seek in the third floor. So when they were trying to catch hold of me, I jumped out of the third floor, fearing that they will catch me. And I didn't know that it was a very third floor was such a high. So my head hit on the sunshade. It went and hit on the second sunshade. Then I fell straight where there was a bicycle, and that bicycle had a cushion. So luckily my head went there. I still wonder why that cycle was kept there, why I fell there. If not there, that day I would have gone. So miracles do happen. It happened to me at when I was in my first standard. Everything else, what has happened, rest is bonus. So be it Ajit's acting, accidental actor, then becoming accidental HR. And the journey has been beautiful after that, 8,000 plus people, jobs, got settled, then found my own footing. I didn't go to any classroom to learn anything. Everything was on the job, got dirty, got bullied, went to events, mixed with people, did everything what I could do. Slowly, I built my career. So that is how it has been. And everything I learned, your communication, people, interpersonal skills, your content, everything I started developing. So if you see all the content I've started doing now is a part of my learning. Then I've started doing podcasts as a part of my learning. So I'm just branching out in the areas where I can bring a difference to somebody who's watching. So this mindset shift was very important. So that was something which was told to me early. Of course, with a few guided people and my support of my family. So that mindset shift is very important. Every youngster, if something fails, they should not go down. They should look at something else, start to move on. If you're going to stick on to that, depression will come. Of course, even I was depressed for 6, 7 months. I was depressed, but that doesn't mean that is the end of life. You got to move on. So thankfully, I'm doing good now, and making a difference to people around my ecosystem.
That's great. What really stand out to me is how early experiences, especially rejections and uncertainty, shapes the way we later look at people, not as profiles, but as human with context. So,
Yes.
Rajesh, let's move on to the next question. Talent acquisition is deeply about understanding an individual's aspirations, expectations, and mindset, not just qualifications. Having worked in the film industry, where rejection, ambitions, and personal branding are part of daily life. How did that experience help you better understand candidates once you moved into recruitment?
Yeah, I think one of the key skills which helped me in films were, meeting people, because that is something which I was not comfortable with earlier, but that came naturally to me, and later I realized that that is my strength. So I can open up conversations with any individual, whether he's, a CEO of the company or the watchman of the company. I'm very, very comfortable. I have no egos. That was one thing which put my egos down totally. And second important skill is, all these things today we talk about branding, we talk about teaser, we talk about all these, jargons which is there on content and all that. So all these were already there as a part of my, my experiences in real time. When I talk about branding, I talk about photographs. Those days it was only photograph. How you make your portfolio, how beautiful you can, project yourself, which photographer you have been, this thing, and then prepare a small dossier, a one-page dossier, which is a part of branding. We don't have any digital thing. So those were all the initial things which I started doing. And then, started watching a lot of English films to improve my English and my communication and all that. So all these things helped me. And I started putting those things practically at every stage without somebody telling me, you have to do this, you have to do this. There's no schooling. It is all self-driven. And there was something which was going on knocking me. Go meet people. I get really josh when I meet new people, when I try to explore things, when I learn about them. I go to try new food, I go to new places, traveling, meeting people, all that help. And I did a lot of modeling. It's not that only movies. I did paper ads, I did dram shows, I did TV things. So that all taught me, of mixing with people, different directors. So everywhere your scenario keeps changing, your people keeps changing every time. When you get into new thing, you have to get accustomed to it. So there is a hallmark, right? If you have to come up in life, you have to bend down and come up. You cannot stay on top always. Whether you're getting your daughter married, whether you're doing anything, you will have to come down to reality. You can't sit on the 125th floor of Burj Khalifa and look at down and say, everything looks hunky and dory. You have to come down to reality, hit the ground and see what is happening, and try to be with people. So a lot of these hands-on things really helped me at every stage of my life. So that's what I would say, some of the things which came out of my experience.
That's wonderful, Rajesh. In your experience, here's something that really caught my attention. You have helped your clients hire about 8,000 candidates over a 20 years career. That's roughly 400 hire per year. Most talent acquisition professionals, high growth companies manage 50 to 100 hires annually. You are operating at nearly 4 times the industry average. So, I have to ask you, how do you do it? I'm curious to know what your hiring process looks like and what different about your approach.
See, my mantra has always been turnaround time. So, moment I start getting a mandate from anybody, my turnaround time is not more than 2 hours, 3 hours. I don't wait for a day. That is one. And my quality of resources will always be high. So, if I send resources, the selects will be at least three from that. So, my turnaround time is fast. My quality of resumes I spend is high. These were some of the biggest things. And then also, it also depends on the combination. It would be a combination of freshers with experience. So all that combinations put together will touch 400. At one point of time, we were having IBM, we were having JPMC and all these where we were recruiting in bulk. In China also, I had recruited in bulk, like freshers with experience. So if you have 30 freshers, I will have two experienced people. If I have, 50 freshers, I will have to add to that, I'll have some seven experienced people. So it's always those numbers which are high, couple of added with the experience part. So it is always a hand in hand. So the numbers of achieving suddenly one year I achieved 1,000 numbers in China when I went there and I started. So sometimes it is 300, sometimes it's 350. It all depends on the need. For example, when I was at Tech Mahindra, I had about 278 closes for the entire year, which included your agents, which included your help desk professionals, which include your experience. So it's a combination of everything. So it all depends on technology, the kind of need where they have, and moreover, how you operate as a individual. Your turnaround time matters. Some people take 3 days. I will not take 3 days because I know customer is valuable, stakeholders are valuable. That's why my turnaround time is 3 to 4 hours. Beyond that, I don't waste time. The idea is I value time. I value your time. I value somebody's time. I keep up that time. And second thing, I build trust with candidates so that there is less number of no-shows and more number of people attend. So I don't waste anybody's time because the moment I talk to any candidate, I'll say here I'm not wasting your time. If you're having another offer, excellent. I'll bless you. Please please go ahead with the offer. But if you're serious about this, great, take it up. That's how it is. So my approach is little different, unconventional. It's not like regular thing. I line by line. If I spot something instinctively, I immediately latch upon it, and I don't waste time. So when I send messages, also I don't avoid messages. I straight away get on a call. So I spend 2 minutes. I judge. I immediately, invariably it works out for me, 99%.
Okay, so Rajesh, you often say something that really resonates, like recruitment is largely driven by common sense.
Correct.
But today, we are surrounded by AI tools, layered assessments, complex hiring frameworks, and endless dashboards. So let me ask you, has talent acquisition become unnecessarily complicated? Where do you see AI adding real value in hiring? And where should we draw the line?
I think it's become more interesting because AI has helped you to become more creative. Negotiation skills can improve. Your judgment capability can improve. That AI can never replace. All those things are intact for a human because your gut feel, your judgment, your all those things will no none of these things will take away. But looking at the mundane, things like CVs coming in, trying to have the chatbots to have the ATS where you can digress those CVs and come up with those things. It has speeden up the process. So all the mundane processes have gone about, reducing of a workload. Earlier it used to take 2 weeks. Now I think it's 2 days. So it's become faster. It is very helpful. And I think that is the way it should be. Everything should be automated at least 60-70%. So we focus on negotiation, we focus on relationship skills because I have to build rapport. I have to so everywhere it reference works, right? So you are as good as your reference. So today, if I have a reference, I will avoid all those gateways and directly, reach out to the candidate. So it is helping in those ways. Yes.
And where should we draw the line, Rajesh?
It is again, the decision making ability is still with the individual. So only till some extent the AI is going to help you, but still you as a human judgment you will have to make decisions. There have been scenarios where AI has been, found somebody as a bad communicator because he was giving pause. That is the way they are programmed. It is only going by the data what is fitted into the system. That is what it goes by. It doesn't go by beyond that. It doesn't have the intelligence to find out. So later, that guy who was found to be not good communicator, he was pausing and talking. So he cannot be a bad communicator. So that is when the recruiter used their intelligence to bring that guy back, put them on the this thing. This was about a year back, and then he is now a top performer. So look at the difference. So that still AI has to figure out the language part because we have 3,500 languages we speak in India. So it's very difficult to understand all those local lingos, right? That is important. And then how communication is. Everybody has a style of communicating. There's no right or wrong. It's just that if you put an accent, he becomes a bad communicator. It's not that. I think those things have to change according to me, as long as you're able to give the right input where the other person can understand, that is what is communication. Not that your English, your articulation, your empathy skill, your listening skill, everything is communication. So I think those are the things where it's still work in progress, still a long way to go for those aspects.
All right, Rajesh. You have hired across India, the US, UK, Europe, ANZ, APAC, and the MENA region. And you have worked with organizations ranging from Aramco to Europe banks. From your experience, where do you find candidates being least transparent, and in which region are candidates generally more open and genuine?
I think one of the highest genuine candidates I found were in Philippines. Philippines were highly friendly, very genuine. Then Sri Lankan candidates, I would rate them better. These people, respect the other person the most. The worst candidates I found is UK, very egoistic. They don't even, give value for anything. And of course, Indians, you can't trust them unless the time they vote the thing. So we can't trust them. So if I have to rate, it will be always Philippines and Sri Lankans. And of course, Japanese. These three guys on top. Rest all are, on the bottom rung. You cannot trust them 100%. Uh, and Sweden was very interesting. Sweden, Australia, all these were very interesting candidates because they keep up the word. They are very very crucial on the time. They value the people and all that. These are some of the countries where it was very interesting. Rest all had its challenges. You'll have ego, you'll have trust factor. It will not be a very smooth this thing. In spite of you telling about the sky, they'll ask for the moon. So which is humanly not possible. Then budget was a issue. They'll go back, they'll ask 10 people for opinions. They'll compare their offers. So these are some of the things I found. And communication was another challenge in UK because you have to be very good in your English communication and the way you speak. Because if they find anything very different from what is given in the JD, they will take you for a task. So something which I learned was you have to be a good communicator. And in Australia, I found to be anything which is taken as reference, they take it very seriously. They want to live up to that commitment. That is something I've seen. And US, of course, is very lazy, very lethargic. So that is something, it's a different zone. Indians, even if you give him 100% like, he'll still not trust you. He'll keep. So we'll have to come up with various methods everywhere. You have to come up with a critical thinking, how you address the candidates, what different levels you can do to test them, on the tough situations and all. So those are some of the things I will always do before even getting them onto the next round of interview.
That's great reminder that global hiring needs local intelligence, and it's why standardized assessments combined with region-specific benchmarks can help reduce bias and surface truth more effectively.
Right.
So let's move on to the next question, Rajesh. So, Rajesh, you have evaluated both fresh graduates with a limited work history and seasoned professionals with impressive resume. At what stage of a career does understanding someone's real ability actually become harder instead of easier?
I think as a fresher also, if they have been participating in several programs in the college, they've been very, very good with all their extracurricular activities is something where they will have those other skills which is required apart from your technical, ability, like your analytical, logical. So that is something which I will test them on the critical thinking part, which is very, very important. And if you look at it, a little bit experienced people, I think it all comes down to their critical thinking, how they are as a person, how they're handling the team, and when you have 3 years, 4 years, or 5 years of experience, you'll be given responsibilities, whether they have taken such responsibilities. The scenarios, I will test them, what kind of scenarios it was. Or if they're handling the team, then I will ask, how do you handle an irate person or a person who's not taking up any responsibilities? Or somebody who's, not coming up, keeping up with time or not disciplined. So they will come up with scenarios, how they handle it. That is how I will test their intelligence and their thinking process. And then how serious are they, in terms of the job opportunities, whether they're going to get aligned to the company's vision, or what is their thought process, what is that they would like to contribute to the company, rather than just asking for a simple, my current is this much, my expectation is so much. Beyond that, what is your USP? Why should somebody hire you? Those questions will be asked. And then the kind of questions like how much you know about the company. They would have spread the word with the people. They are very smart. They will go to Glassdoor everywhere, and they'll do an analysis about the company, like what an AI will do, or those reports. So they will get their emotional thing, whether the company pays on time, salary, what kind of projects, whether they have global presence, and also the opportunities which comes, whether they can travel on site. All these things plays a very, very crucial part when you get a little experience, because that is what they'll also look for. Of course, money is important, but it's not all the more important when you're a part of the company and when you want to travel with the company. So critical thinking, the overall attitude, communication, everything will be a holistic approach I will take, whether it's a fresher or an experience.
Yes, you're absolutely right because resume grow, but clarity doesn't always.
Correct.
Now it's time for our next segment, which is rapid fire. All right, Rajesh, before we wrap up, let's do a quick insight round. Say the first thing that comes to your mind. One skill every recruiter must master in 2026.
Judgment.
Data driven hiring or relationship led hiring? What wins
Rel-
and why?
Relationship led hiring will always win. It is the most important skill any recruiter should have. Data driven hiring will only take you to the doorstep. You still have to go talk, build relationship, and use your intelligence so that you will get references, you will get, your job will be made easy, somebody will be easily able to find the job and all that. So relationship is very, very important.
One common mistake organizations make while building global hiring teams.
Well, they always go with they take people with a lot of experience, and then they come there and somebody has got experience in one region, there is no guarantee that he will be successful in the other region. So it's very important that when they hire somebody, they should have a lot of common sense, they should have good attitude, and they should be flexible to work across time zones. That is important because some people will come conditions. I can work only for Indian time zone. I can't work for US. And then if they have any experience with familiarity with the US market or be it for Europe market, anything of those things will always be an added plus. But more importantly, I think attitude, your openness, and those are some of the critical skills which are required for you to be a part of global hiring, which can go across countries. You should be open enough to take it up. The time zone should not be a constraint. Otherwise, it's all common sense. Rest all skills can be equipped. So there is no rocket science at all.
All right. If you could change one thing about recruitment today, what would it be?
Mm, well, involve them more, give them a lot of value, like you give all those CHROs, because recruitment also plays a very crucial role. And then give them, make them feel important. I think that is one thing which can be changed by the organizations, and encourage them because they're always under the radar, they are under the knife, so those things can be still improved so that stress levels can come down. That is from the organization point of view. From a recruiter's point of view, you should be more hungry to build pipeline, you should be more hungry to build relationships, you should be more hungry for more positions, you should take initiative to go and ask rather than waiting. You should build beautiful stories. Just building stories is very important. When you're trying to be a brand ambassador for any organization, your story is important, and recruiter is the gateway for any company. If your story is boring, they will not buy. So how good your stories are will enable you to get more leads. So one will go tell another, another will go tell another. As long as you have the communication and the storytelling ability, good. So storytelling starts with recruiter, it goes on to the managers, it goes on to the heads. So everybody should have an interesting story to tell, then you are in business.
Right. One piece of advice for aspiring recruitment leaders.
Keep your eyes and ears open, build rapport, don't close anything out, build your own stories, and be active on LinkedIn. Keep coming up with those interesting stories, your challenging things, what you have done. Show it to the world, and always express that to candidates, and try to align yourself so that you can align to organization vision and build a pipeline. So this is very important for people who want to get into that. And you should have your good negotiation and your enterprising skills. So talk to a lot of people, see the mirror, say that you are the superstar, you are the biggest inspiration for me. Keep self motivating yourself, because there's nobody, if somebody gets demotivated, they cannot fall back on anybody. So it's all within. So everybody has to be motivating themselves. Keep seeing, meeting a lot of people, getting more, so the more and more they talk, and the more and more they always have that urge, their energy levels are up, their passion is high. I think those people with a lot of common sense will do very well as recruiters, and they need to get accustomed to all the technologies and tools and be familiar with it. So you'll have to go in tune with what is happening and be relevant, and read a lot of books, see a lot of podcasts, gain insights from the industry experts, so that those stories can be told to candidates at the right time, internal people or external people, whichever roles they play. So that is important.
Wonderful, Rajesh. This has been an incredibly insightful conversation. Thank you for sharing your journey and your perspective so openly. To everyone watching, if you have any questions, you can write to us or you can connect with Rajesh directly. We will attach his LinkedIn profile in the description. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you in the next episode. Until then, don't forget to like, share, and comment your thoughts on this podcast.
My pleasure, Nikita. My pleasure to Xobin team. Thank you so much for having me.